Okay. So welcome. My name is Adam Seipel. You can follow me at Adam Seipel on Twitter. Also, throughout the session, you'll be able to find my email address. It's also creative, adamseipel@gmail.com. This is my awesome family. There's a good chance that one or all of them will be in here at some point. Who knows? So it's kind of a coin flip on that one. And they make it all possible that we can put these on. I would like to just quickly talk through how you might best function in Zoom. So right now, my screen is probably what you're seeing. There might be some pictures here on the top right. If you hit escape, it's going to exit my view and allow you to recontrol your computer. So that's going to be really helpful. We will be switching back and forth from my demos where I'll be sharing my screen, and then a time when you can go out and explore other resources. Every day that we do this, I like to go over these different norms or agreements that I found have made things very helpful as we move forward. The first is to offer grace to yourself, to your students, to their families, just in general. In this session, we have right now 130 people. Again, we'll have up to 200 people who have signed up. And there's a good chance that one of my kiddos will walk in, or my dog, or who knows what else, and that might happen for you as well. Offer each other grace through all that. The next is to ask. We already talked about this a little bit, but if you have a question, drop it into the chat. Or if we're doing one of our demo times or go explore resources, you can just turn on your mic, ask that question, and I'll respond as well. We're going to be looking at quite a few different templates and strategies with choice boards and Hyperdocs. Try something new. Push yourself. Nothing's going to break, okay? There's always the undo button, and you're going to be fine. We're here to support you. Next is to share. You are going to find some pretty cool things in this session. That's my guarantee to you. Pass it on to that teacher who used to teach down the hall from you. Pass it on to whoever could benefit from it. I am recording this session at the end of our time together. Sometime this evening, you'll get an email from me with a link to the recording as well as some other resources. So you can pass that on as well. And I already touched on this a little bit, but all 131 of us are Virginian educators, and we're here to support our kiddos, and we're all in this together. All right, so moving into the content here, here's a quote that I particularly like by Carol Ann Tomlinson. Teachers in the most exciting and effective differentiated classrooms don't have all the answers. What they do have is optimism and determination. And I wanted to start with this because you wouldn't be here if that quote did not describe you. You have optimism, you have determination just by signing up to take part in this session. You see, I might be able to do something better. I'm going to make it happen because my students deserve my best. Their learning depends on it. So I really wanted to highlight you and your capability through all this. Any challenge that you see, you'll be able to overcome in this session. I really feel that way. And the feedback that I've gotten from past times that I've done this session, people have really echoed that idea too. A quick overview of where we're going. We're going to start off with an introduction where we look at our two different terms, choice boards and Hyperdocs. Then we'll do a deep dive into some choice boards, and you'll get to see many, many different templates. You don't have to start from scratch. You can begin building right away. Then we'll take we'll take some time to look through Hyperdocs and kind of unpack what that term means, how it both complements and how it differs from choice boards. And then finally, you'll have a demo time where you can, we'll have a little wrap up, but you'll have a couple challenges that you can choose from and be able to build in a structured environment. So that's where we're headed. But moving into things, choice boards, pretty cool development here, right? So people also call this a learning menu. I know in the district where I live, Waynesboro, choice boards have been the way that my son's instruction have been delivered. Every week we get an email from his teacher with the next week's choice boards, and we're able to go through that content with him. So what makes a choice board or a learning menu what it is? It really focuses on differentiation. Our students can choose what content they access. So maybe we have the topic of plants, and they can watch a video about it. They can read an article. They can look at a graphic novel that depicts what different plants are. And they can choose one of those, or they can pick all three, and they really have that choice. It also could be process. So how do our students think through this idea, or how do they get from point A to point D? Along that path, they might go in a different order. Finally is product. What is that artifact of learning going to be? How will the student represent their knowledge? And so sometimes we might say, here are 3 different choices, but if you have another way that you'd like to pitch to me, then you can. And when I was in the classroom, that's where I saw some of my favorite artifacts of learning, when I just said, you guys have your own interests, you have your own skills. I'm going to back up and really let you decide what this looks like. It also made it where I don't get 90 different research papers that all look the same, or different PowerPoint slides. Every single product looked different, which made it exciting for me as the facilitator too. Continuing on, students select 1 or more methods of engaging with the content. Choice boards started in the physical format and then have evolved to be enhanced by technology. So now we can have links, we can have different multimedia in there. And they also value a student's gifts, interest, and personality. And that's kind of what I was talking about. I used to call it the wow factor on any assignment. They could choose to do that instead of kind of the traditional, and they could say, here's how I'm going to demonstrate this idea. Moving into Hyperdocs, again, these are really complementary. A lot of choice boards bring in elements of Hyperdocs, and Hyperdocs can bring in elements of a choice board. To me, the biggest shift in how I thought through lesson planning was when I stopped lesson planning and I started doing learning plans for my students. So it really became student-centered. Instead of when I started as a teacher, I made a lesson plan that was all about what I was doing and how I was engaging with the content, and not really about what my students were doing and how they're engaging. So when I made that switch, without knowing it, I started moving towards a Hyperdoc. So as we look at Hyperdocs, you're going to see a lot of similarities between the templates that we take a look at and maybe some established lesson plan formats, but really when we hand it over to our students, it becomes that learning plan for them. Also, I want to encourage you for both choice boards and Hyperdocs to think about how you can mix in individual activities, small group, and full class. So how can we have people engage with each other even though they're receiving a choice board at their home and they're not seeing their classmates? So we're going to talk through some of that, and we're going to model some of that as well. All right, so as we move, we're going to be looking at choice boards, and with this, I have a short video that I want to show. It's about a minute, and it'll do an introduction to a few different choice boards.
I'm Martine Brown.
And I'm Tyra Clayton.
And today we're going to talk to you about digital choice boards.
Digital choice boards, they allow students to choose an activity or activities that will complete for an assignment or to demonstrate understanding. Digital choice boards, students can choose activities that can be described or hyperlinked. You can consider telling students to create activities in a row, or you can also have a column. It just depends on your students. Each column or row on digital choice board can be focused on a particular skill or standard.
When we take a look at an example like the one listed, you can organize your choice board into a 9-square model and 3 in a row. Teachers can choose what they want to differentiate. For examples, you can differentiate what students will produce, like this example, where students can produce different types of creations, or how students will engage with different learning styles, which level of complexity students are ready for, or which activities appeals to the students' interests. For a copy of this Show What You Know link, or
all Okay, so again, that was a very short video introduction about choice boards. And I wanted to start off with the tic-tac-toe model, and they're calling it bingo. Really, to me, those are going to be synonymous. I wanted to start with that because that is probably the most commonly seen one. And that, if we go to slide 12, I have linked for you. So go ahead and head to your slides. On slide 12, we have a version of this that comes from Casey Bell, an awesome educator who has a website called Shake Up Learning. So if we click on Use Template, this is going to give you your own copy of that tic-tac-toe choice menu. It will be in your Google Drive, and we'll start to practice with this one just a little bit. John or Eric, can you drop the link for the choice board into the chat just in case people need it there? Thank you. All right, so once we get to our choice board, our tic-tac-toe choice board, we're gonna take a minute to just look at the different components, and then we'll start to see, we'll learn some of the skills of how to add ideas in here. If you are in my session on Monday that we looked at Google Docs and slides, some of this might be review, but I do wanna take the time to make sure everybody's comfortable. All right, so I'm in here. We have the first thing it's telling us is name of menu. Now for some people, it might be the unit that you're currently in, or like my son's teacher is doing it by week. So this could be May 25 through 29. Maybe she's building for next week. And then she gives the directions of start with number 5 and make 2 other choices. So for this particular template, the way it's written right now, this is the entry point. Number 5, everybody's starting from here. And so this could be an engagement activity. Maybe it's watch this video or go to a Padlet or a Jamboard link where everybody's brainstorming what they know about this particular topic. So you could do it that way with distance learning right now. Maybe this is go to our weekly check-in. Maybe it's a Flipgrid and just tell us how you're doing this week. And we all get that community connection, and then we get into the content. So those are a couple ways that you can engage with this. But I know some people will do end with number 5. So this is, here's our common touch point at the end. We all have the same exit ticket or submit a link to your learning artifact. And again, maybe it's going to a Google form or into Google Classroom, and everybody can see each other's awesome artifacts. Once we think through this, if we have this touch point of number 5 that everybody has to do, whether it's the end or the beginning, it makes it where we have to get one of each color. We'd have to get both this bluish green and this yellow color. And throughout these sessions that I've done, some people have brought up a really cool idea of maybe we make this, the blue, more focused on social emotional ideas or connecting with your family. And then the yellow could be more of the academic options in here. So we can really touch on multiple aspects of our student, the whole student, by breaking it up in that way. Now, by no means do you have to have these different colors, or every single block could be a different color. It's really up to you and how you want to organize it for your student. Once you start to brainstorm what these different touch points could be, and one that I saw from a colleague of mine who lives in Lexington, Kentucky, he talked about build a fort and read a book. And I love that. It's a no-tech way that our kids are able to have fun by tangibly building something, physically building, and then also we get that read a book part. Now down here, I might want to link to something. So watch this video on YouTube and then record a response on this Flipgrid. And you might be thinking, how can I get them that YouTube link? What does that look like? And I want to show you how easy it is. So if I wanted this video on YouTube to be linked, I can either do Control K if I'm feeling really fancy, or now that I have this part highlighted, I'm just going up to my toolbar and finding this little link icon. And this allows me to type something in. So I can type in youtube.com or paste in the actual URL. And now this whole thing becomes a link. I can also link any image in here. So over here, this is an image, and I can add a link in there too. So again, by hitting Control K. Oh, that's in slides, not in docs. So sorry about that. I'm still learning myself. Okay, so this would be a quick way that we can add different pieces in here. You can add images. So right now, if I want the Flipgrid icon to be in here, I can come up to Insert Image, search the web, and I'm going to look up Flipgrid logo. And let's say that this is our Flipgrid logo. It's not, I can find it elsewhere, but I'm just working within here. And now I've got this icon that they could click onto. So maybe I want to put the YouTube icon or a play button or whatever it might be. I can do that to these boxes. So we're going to take just about another minute or so to maybe fill in one or two of these boxes, or if you have a question, you can unmute and ask it at this time. And then after we're done with this, we'll head back to our slides and continue to look at some additional templates and models that I've collected for you. All right, so at this point, you can leave this tab open if you want. I'm gonna head back to my slides, and I'd invite you to do that too. So I'm back in my slides and heading to slide 13. And I wanna do a quick overview of how I want you to engage with slides 13, 14, 15, and 16, and then you'll have probably 5 minutes to go and explore. And this time really is all about you. You have choice, okay? Go to where your interests are, go to what will serve your students. So on slides 13, 14, and 15, I've gone out and curated a set of different resources that you can consider when building a choice board. Okay, these are different models that other educators have developed that you can just, most of them have links. So Shake Up Learning, if you click on this, it opens up to a Google Drive folder where you can go and find things based on what grade you serve. Continuing on, here is a choice board made as Google Slides, and you can click and get a copy of that. These aren't linked. On slide 13, we have 1 point choices, 2 point, 5 point. They have to earn a certain number of points. They have to earn 5 points, and they can pick how they do that based on which of these boxes they select. Moving on to 14, I think all of these are linked. Some of them go to articles that explain how they work. There's some cool ones in here. A lot of people have been drawn to Edflix over the last few weeks. And finally, on slide 15, recently I've started seeing Bitmoji classrooms pop up all over the place. So in here, if you click where it says template, it will open up a slide deck that you can make a copy of. Has a lot of different backgrounds that you can choose from, and it has this tutorial in there where you can look to see how to build it yourself. So those are the locations of our different templates. And then in about 5 minutes, we're gonna go to slide 16, where I have a link to a Padlet page, and there are a few different questions in there that you can respond to. So it is 2:53. At 3 o'clock, I want everyone to be in the Padlet and have responded to at least one of those questions. So we do have 7 minutes to kind of decide how we spend this time. At any point, if you would like to ask a question, just unmute your microphone, ask that question, and then we'll be able to talk through things together. Are there any questions about what I'd like you to be doing for these next few minutes? Cool. So at this point, I'm going to stop our screen recording for just a little bit until we come back together at 3 o'clock. but go ahead and explore. And again, you can ask a question at any point. Okay, so I'm seeing mind blown about how much there is to choose from. I love that. Helping to engage with prior knowledge, very important. Now I want to just quickly speak to how much to do and choose from. I really want to focus on that second part. Start with something that already exists. Don't start from scratch. Find a template that works for you. Find a lesson that's already built and make some subtle changes to it to meet your students' needs and your teaching style. Really, I'm going to emphasize this multiple times. Please don't start from scratch. Okay? Please, please, please don't do that. All right, so let's go ahead, and if one or two of you would like to unmute and respond or share out on maybe what you found, we'll take the time for that, and then we'll move into our challenges. People aren't talking right now, but they will.
Yeah, I just have a question for the Hyperdoc. Where do you find, is that like an app within the App Store or within Google Classroom? Not Google Classroom, Google for Education?
Hyperdoc?
Yeah, it's like you took us to the Hyperdoc template area, the Hyperdoc, yeah, templates, lessons, Hyperdoc, and it took us to Hyperdocs. I guess, is that an app you would find in Google for Education?
So it's really, first of all, good marketing, Hyperdocs, good marketing for adding links to a Google Doc or slides. What sets Hyperdocs apart, and it is dependent on other tools, so it is not a standalone app. It would be partnered with either a doc or slides. What really shifted my understanding of what a Hyperdoc was when I started knowing that it's aligned with the lesson plan template and not just a set of links.
Okay, no, I explored some of it. They don't have much for Spanish, and
Okay.
what they do have is in line with the European model, the European levels towards proficiency, not the American levels, and I found that quite interesting.
But that does speak to the fact that this is not just an American tool. In fact, Hyperdocs is everywhere. And they have, instead of teachers pay teachers, their thing is teachers give teachers. So it really is a community of, if you have something good, contribute to them, and then other people will benefit from it. Let's hear from maybe one or two other people.
Hey, Adam.
Hi.
Yes, John.
So one thing with Hyperdocs that I found, it's kind of like a rabbit hole. Like the Hyperdocs.co is a great starting point, but there's so many other places where you can find a lot of other content to where you might find some more Spanish, some more CTE, some more elective type materials as opposed to some of your normal math, English, science materials.
So that is a very good point. This isn't a very active community. So if you're on social media, there's a good chance that you can connect with. They have a chat that they do from time to time. You can go to and connect with other Spanish teachers to be able to make that happen. All right, so thank you, and let's head back to. I'm going to head back to our slides now, and we've already touched on this a little bit, but it is vital that you continue to build community into your activities, even if it's distance learning. So when we're back in the class, a lot of this is still important, but it's not as dire as it is right now. So some ways that we can kind of have that community connection. The first is Padlet, and we've been using it today. We've had 140 people all in the same space able to add ideas in there. I've mentioned Flipgrid a few times, and that's another awesome resource that you can use to be able to have your students engage with a question and add in video responses to that prompt. And you know, that could be a really good starting point, mid check-in, or even a show what you know at the end. Doing shared notes and slides. So in so shared notes and slides. One strategy that I really like to do when I work with teachers is in Google Classroom, being able to share, being able to, Carter, thank you. I need you to go find Mama now, okay? She wants you and she's waiting for you. Can you go find her and tell her I love her?
No.
Yeah, I need you to go do that. Okay. So giving slides to our students so that they can all go in and edit together. Sometimes that means that I might put a topic on the top of each slide, and then they go fill in information about it, and they can kind of co-construct that. It could also be doing that weekly check-in too. So lots of different options in here. The final one in here is if I'm using Classroom or I'm using an LMS, I can simply use the discussion post feature that's built in and be able to have that text-based discussion. Wow, that was exciting. Lots of people in here building community, right? Okay, so as we get into wrap up, I want to reiterate this again. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, keep it simple. I know we see some really flashy, cool looking ones. Know that those are available down the road for you. And if you're like already a master at how to work within Google Slides and do some cool things in there, maybe you're ready for it now. I like to start with templates, and I do this every single time. I start with a template for the slides that I'm using right now, and that helps me. So as we get into our challenge, and we do have about 10 minutes for this challenge, I want you to pick one of these three options, and we're going to spend 10 minutes for you to go in, try things out, ask questions if you run into any questions. And our three that I've selected for you to choose from: the Explore, Explain, Apply. And again, you would just click on this and use the template. The Tic-Tac-Toe, which you may already have open. Or, you know, I'm all about student choice. So if you saw something else out there, maybe you want to go back to Edflix, or you really want to try that hero's journey. I saw some people mention that. Go back there. You have structured support right now. Go try it, and then we'll have some time to share. So go ahead and explore for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back together to be able to see a few of these. And if you have any questions along the way, please unmute, ask the question, and we're here to support you.